by and large, I found that, we are a religious community here. Many people do have religious inclinations. And although it's not mandatory, I found that there's a lot of diversity here, even though there is one denomination that does have pretty good representation. And but there's a lot of diversity, especially on the fourth floor. There's a lot of diversity. And I myself am the son of a minister. And he's a very tolerant man, except for fundamentalists in his church. He was a United Church of Christ, very aggressive church, but he was very liberal in his views, and we, for those of you who went to my first presentation, who was it the first time I was here? Okay, we talked about Stockbridge and how I grew up in Stockbridge from the 2nd grade through the 8th grade, where Norman Rockwell painted a lot of kids in my class, including a little boy who was depicted getting a shot. He was my classmate, Eddie Locke, and the doctor was Dr. Campbell, who was my doctor. And I got a shot, that same little boy, had his little pants halfway down, getting a shot with Dr. Campbell. And the painting Stockbridge in Springtime with Norman Rockwell's biking down the street in front of the church and the bell tower. That was my father's church, where I grew up, and my little home, even my bedroom, was painted by Norman Rockwell. So it was a very idyllic time. And Stockbridge at Christmas, I recounted that from 2nd grade to 8th grade, I walked down that little street depicted in Stockbridge at Christmas. Every day I went back and forth down that street to go to school. And my little sister read half the books in the library depicted on that scene. She was a very good little reader. Went on to be an editor of the Oxford Dictionary of National Biography. She went into interview for the job over in England, and they laughed. They laughed when she showed up because she was an American. But they gave her the test case to do an editorial test case, and she aced it. She aced out the competition and went to be an editor of the Oxford Dictionary of National Biography. And she started in that little library depicted up by Norman Rockwell on the main street in Stockbridge at Christmas. But I say that for the benefit of our native-born Brit here. One anyway. There's probably a couple there too, yeah. Oh, okay. But, anyway, it's very idyllic for at least the first 4 years we were there. But unfortunately, in 1961, at Halloween, Dr. Campbell, who was, as we prepared to go out on Halloween, my brother, there were 4 of us, kids. My brother, as we prepared to go out on Halloween, he began to cry to my mother that he couldn't see and she held him back from going out to Halloween. And she took him into Dr. Campbell, and he was tested, and he was found to have leukemia. And so Dr. Campbell had connections to the hospital in Boston, where the best doctor in the nation was down there. The hospital was named after him. And so my brother started getting treated as best as he could at that time. It was basically a death sentence at that time for my brother. And this hit my family pretty hard. In fact, my father, I think his immune system kind of collapsed. And a few weeks later, right before Christmas, he got spinal meningitis. And so 2 weeks before Christmas, they carried him out of the house. He almost died from that. And it was pretty devastating. And so my brother died about 6 months later from leukemia. That was a really crushing blow. And it's a small town, about 2,000 people, and it was a real blow to the whole town to lose him. He was a beautiful, sweet boy. So, in my spiritual life, I was 12 at the time. I wanted to, it raised a lot of questions for me about God. And, there were 2 brothers in the family, and we both shared a room up at the top of the manse that was depicted by Norman Rockwell there. And, I had a lot of survivor's guilt, why did this happen to him and not to me? And, why does God let this happen? My father always taught us that God was a God of love. And I know my brother suffered. He suffered terribly during the treatment. They tried to put him into remission, and it never really took. And it was very hard on my mother. Was devastated. And it was hard on their marriage. It was hard on it was hard on all of us. And I began to read different things, and I came across, one of the things I came across was the story of Edgar Casey. I found that to be very, very interesting. Here was a man who was a Southern gentleman in the 1930s, who was raised in a fundamentalist church, but when he found that when he went into under hypnosis, he was able to diagnose the medical conditions of people that were miles away in other cities and help them medically. And he had a lot of spiritual insights into, he channeled a supernatural, spiritual higher self that brought into an idea of reincarnation. It was very interesting. It was totally different from his own beliefs that he had in his waking life. That was interesting. Anyway, I went off to prep school, and when I was 17, I was studying different religions, and I know in the spring of between my junior I met Pat when we were in Camelot. We were on backstage. I met Pat. I actually saw her on campus when we were 14, and she was dating the seniors. She was only 14. She was my same age, but she was dating the juniors and seniors. She was in the town. She was in town. Andover was an all-boys school, and they needed girls to come up and be in the plays and the musicals. And she was such a sweet girl. I was in the choir, and she would come up and practice her parts in front of the choir. She was so cute. And, finally, in Camelot, I think I was a junior. Finally, backstage, I got up the nerve to talk to her. She was on stage. She was placed next to me, and I finally got up the nerve to say something to her. Something silly. We were dressed in nuns. She was dressed as like we both had habits.
We had cowls.
We had cowls.
Dressed as monks.
Yeah, we had cowls. And anyway, I finally got up the nerve to talk to her. And,
I remember what you said. It made no sense at all, but you said that you turned around and said, "You're too cute to be a nun."
Oh, there you go.
And she said, "That's funny. I was thinking of becoming a nun."
Which was true. Which was true.
She was a Catholic girl. She was raised Catholic, and that's great. And I remembered that. I think I told the story last time about being in the sandbox and asking a little Catholic girl asking a little girl named Penny if she could be my girlfriend, and she said, "Well, I'm Catholic, and my nun says you're going to hell," something like that. I said, "Besides, I already have a boyfriend, and his name is Elvis Presley." But anyway, that was in the spring, right before our summer break, and so I went off to my summer vacation. My parents, one of my great aunts died, and she left the family some money, and my parents, I don't know what got into it, but they knew I was a car nut, and my father, he decided to buy a Corvette. And over the summer, he turned this thing over to me. It's just crazy. So I was 17 years old. And I was working at the local Johnson & Johnson's washing dishes, and there was a young lady who was in a family in Terrytown, and I ended up dating her sister, and this was my summer of age 17.
Dating my sister.
No,
My sister
not
would be